What's up, guys? My name is Jacob. This is my first video, so please consider subscribing. It doesn't seem like much, but it really does help. So in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Warhammer 40k 5th edition Baneblade. So, starting off, I made this channel to talk about Warhammer 40k and to review vehicles and different units. Starting off, the Baneblade is the oldest primary tank in the service of the Imperium of Man and the Astra Militarum. The Astra Militarum is also known as the Imperial Guard for you older gamers, so. The reason why it is called the Baneblade is because of the 10-meter long Baneblade battle cannon on the front. This cannon is used for shooting rocket-propelled projectiles up to 10 miles, or 5 kilometers, about. Assisting the Baneblade cannon, you also have the Mark II autocannon on the side. This is controlled by the first gunner, which sits in the lower turret on the third gunnery deck, also known as the turret. He is responsible for firing the main cannon and the coax autocannon. Though instead of using the autocannon on lightly armored targets, it is mainly used for tracer rounds for the Baneblade cannon. Next, we have the hull-mounted Demolisher cannon, which, if I can take this off real quick. The hull-mounted Demolisher cannon is located right here on the front and can be pushed to an elevation of almost 90 degrees. The reason for this is that this doesn't really act as a cannon. This acts more as a mortar for disintegrating buildings or walls that are an obstacle to the Baneblade. Not that they would have much reason to destroy them anyway, because the Baneblade is so big it could just run over them. Next, so I actually skipped is the interior layout of the turret. So inside the turret, you have a commander, first loader, and first gunner. The gunner is located directly in front of the commander's hatch, right here under this sight right here. This is the main sight. Next to that, you have the loader, and then on the other side, you have the commander. So, the commander has a 3D map that appears around this little middle section right here where you see this last gun is. This map shows all enemy forces as red dots and allied forces as green dots. That way he can plan his operations in there. Behind them is located a locker which can hold around 40 to 50 rounds of ammunition. The Baneblade ammunition is sorted into 4 types. I only have 3 types with me here right now. The first type is a black-topped sabot round. This fires, and these discs separate, and it's pretty much a rocket-propelled projectile that enters a tank and then blows up inside, sending molten fragments, all through the tank, killing the crew. The next round that I have is a heat ammunition, meaning this is an incendiary round. It enters a tank, has a molten chunk of metal, and eliminates the crew, and the outer armor. The next ammo I have is a green tipped ammo. This is armor piercing, which, as it sounds, pierces armor. I believe it can pierce up to Titan armor. And the final one that I do not have with me right now is a high explosive shell that is tipped with a red top and looks very similar to the armor piercing and then to our heat round. Same round top, same golden body, and all that. It's just red. Besides those weapons, you also have the counterweight back here with the extreme weight of a 30-foot gun on the front. It's pretty heavy on the front, so you need a counterweight, which is made of steel and a type of cement, which is ferrocrete. So not concrete, but it's ferrocrete, which is about 10 times stronger than regular concrete. Not to mention this takes place in the 41st millennium. Next, on the loader's hatch, you can mount a heavy stubber. I chose to put a bulletproof shield here. I think it makes it look a lot better. If you guys agree, please put that down in the comments. You can also post an autocannon, which I have right here from my heavy weapon squad set. You can post an autocannon on the commander's hatch, which this would be used for the same role as the autocannon down here, either for tracing, if this one's not active, or eliminating lightly armored vehicles or orcs. As we head on from that, we now move on to the body here. As you can see, it's absolutely huge. This was the biggest model I've ever bought. If you guys want to buy this in stores, it is around $120, I believe. But it's well worth the money because this has got me through tons of battles. Next on here, besides the Demolisher Cannon, which is the second loader and second gunner seated right next to the driver through this hatch right here. They are on the first deck. So I said first deck with the turret. That is known as actually the third deck. That's the gunnery deck. The first deck is all the way down here, and the tracks actually go up. Let me get this in screen. The tracks actually go up right here, and then down a little lower to cross right here. That way the deck can pass directly above it. You will notice that on mine I put a little bit of extras on here, like this extra tread right here, or these bedrolls on here, and the sandbags in the back. You can choose to do that and put it however you want. You can also name your tank like I did down here. On the regular tank, the top cannon, the Baneblade cannon, carries about 40 rounds, and the Demolisher cannon carries 10 rounds-ish, give or take, depending on what type of mission it's on. Both the Baneblade cannon and Demolisher cannon fire rocket-propelled shells with similar to battleship ammunition. Next, you will see above the driver hatch right here, you will see a little turret ring similar to this one on the top. That is used for the driver's armament, which you think is weird because the driver should be driving the tank like a good person. Great going there. Great going there, Games Workshop. But apparently, he also fires this turret right here. This has twin-linked heavy bolters, which can be used. They don't have a good rate of fire like the heavy stubbers, but they take up, they make up for that in bulk of their ammo. So they fire slow, but the rounds are very heavy, and it will take out lightly armored vehicles. You also noticed on the sides of the tank, you have these little things jetting out. These are called sponsons. And each sponson has a regular turret, similar to these like the driver controls, with a last cannon, and under that a 90-degree rotating semi-turnable um armory. Like, I don't really know what to describe it by, but you have this little like half turning thing down here, and this is 2 more heavy bolters. You will see there's one on each side. Other Baneblade variants can have 3 sponsons on each side if they choose, or 2 sponsons on each side. But if they choose to have just 1 or no sponsons, they can make up for that with this heavy armor, which is your uranium plated armor on each side. Next, as we move on to the back, we will have these doors. I can find it right here. Yeah, these doors right here lead to the back of the nuclear reactor in which this tank is powered on. These 4 smokestacks, this isn't still even enough to have the massive heat coming out of the reactor. Next on here is a shrine to the machine god, which gives this machine power to crush all of its enemies. You will also notice that down here on the bottom, there is a small radio. This can communicate with other Baneblades or Chimeras or Leman Russ tanks. Next, on either side, you will find these fuel tanks. This is the external storage. On the inside, there is about 10 times this amount. Next, we move to the inside, which I can't show you because I have not done the inside yet. But if we were to go inside the Baneblade, you would find a massive, massive layout. But before we move into the interior, we also have to talk about the strength of this armor. Now, most battle tanks now that the US and Russia use, they can pretty much withstand a blast from each other's tanks once or twice. Before that, they explode. If you look at a Baneblade, though, it's very well protected against other vehicles employed by the Imperial Guard, meaning it can withstand I believe Plasma Annihilator is what the War Master Titan carries. It can withstand about a few seconds of that before it starts to melt through, which that's pretty strong because that can melt a whole city block in a matter of seconds. Next, we have the front. So you see this frontal armor. It is double plated. Right here, where the sign of the Imperium of Man is. It is double plated because you can see those little rivets back there. This is able to withstand a weapon impact from a railgun mounted on a Tau hammerhead. I will go over that in a later video. Which you have to shoot at the front armor about 5 times before it starts to wear away. Next, like I said, we are going to move on to the interior of the tank. Starting at the top, we have the gunnery deck. This is the third of all the decks. The gunnery deck has space for up to 4 people, even though 3 people sit in there normally. You have the commander. You can fit a squadron commander in there as well, plus a loader and a gunner. As we move below the turret, the middle of the turret has an elevator that goes down to the secondary deck, known as the command deck. This elevator draws from a separate magazine in the back of the tank near the nuclear reactor, because all 50 rounds cannot be held in the top turret. So, you have a total of 38 rounds that are stowed in the body of the tank near the nuclear reactor, and 18 rounds... Okay, whatever. So 32 rounds, by the nuclear reactor, and then 18 rounds in the turret.